Two reasons why we started pillsandpowders.com. Number one, we've been manufacturing supplements for many other brands in the UK and the Netherlands for over 14 years. And some of these brands, not all of them, but some of them held certain practices that felt very unethical to us. Over the years, we got kind of fed up with brands asking us to use all sorts of inferior ingredients in products that they were selling to consumers at a very expensive rate. We were asked to replace ingredients that we suggested they would use based on scientific studies. We were asked to replace them with less bioavailable, cheaper ingredients that help them cut costs on the product, on the formula, and therefore help them increase margin. However, even though these brands were still able to claim that their product contained X, a certain vitamin, a certain mineral, a certain adaptogenic herb, the truth was that the kind of ingredient that they were using wasn't backing up the claims that they were making on that product at all, because scientific studies were done on different ingredient forms, or they were done on different ingredient dosages, meaning the dosages in the study were much higher. They were still using the same ingredient, however, at a much lower dosage, giving them a higher margin, not making the product really work at all in the customer's body, while the brand was still making the claim that it did. So we saw that in the supplement industry, there is such a big gap between what a brand is claiming about their product and what they can also legally claim, because the EU prescribes certain rules that if your product contains a minimum amount of a certain nutrient, like a minimum amount of vitamin B12, you can make the B12 claim. But it doesn't prescribe what the exact form needs to be. In general, big picture is that there's a big gap between what supplement brands are saying that their product does and what the formula actually does. There's a gap between what science is showing that is the right ingredient form or the right dosage and what the brand is actually using, and therefore the product is usually inferior. And we know this. We are aware. We do the scientific studies, we do the research, we create all the product formulation, all the scientific background documentation. But we got so fed up with creating a product that's very strongly science-backed, but then the brand would say, nah, that's too expensive, we're not gonna do it. You know, we want you to use an inferior ingredient to cut costs, etc. And at one point, that really started working against our ethical standards. Reason number two is that the supplement industry is almost like a cowboy industry at the moment. Like, it's full of hype. It's full of all these new brands, as I said, saying a lot about their products, but also working with all sorts of influencers, doing all this hype marketing. And there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of influencers, there's a lot of people in the chain making money on that product, and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really benefit you as a customer at all. So we were like, look, why do consumers need to pay for all this hype? Why do consumers need to pay for all these influencers and all this branding? Like, you're paying a lot for all of the marketing that you don't need. So we decided, let's create a brand that's not only fully transparent and real and truly science-backed, but that's also no hype. So you're not overpaying for marketing that you don't need. And that's why we created Pills and Powders, because we've been making supplements for over 14 years and we figured we might as well ship them directly to you as the end customer instead of the bigger brands that we used to make for. So we're really a factory-led brand. We're almost like a community-led brand. A lot of the employees that are with us have been with us longer than I've owned the company. Literally for over 14 years. I've owned the company since 2012. It was a pre-existing company. So a lot of loyalty, a lot of great people. We love making products that truly make a difference to your life, to your health, And that's why we do this.